I'm disappointed in every one of you.
I'm sorry, I don't mean to offend you.
I'm disappointed in every one of you.
I kiss you on the mouth.
No, I'm not cool with that. Just, I'm sorry.
One more time.
I'm disappointed in every one of you.
I mean, I'm dealing with degenerate animals.
I'm disappointed in every one of you. Disappointed in every one of you.
All right, come on.
Honestly, I can't do it no more.
I'm disappointed in every one of you.
Let me tell you why.
It's gonna be all right, Nicky. Go ahead, shoot.
He just killed a fucking man.
What are you going to do about it?
You're happy because you got nothing. You don't got a thing. You're happy because you got nothing. Lobito! Got nothing.
I want to get out. I want to get out of this rat hole. I want to get online. I need
BDA boxing.
All right, this is King Bucho. Welcome to BDA Boxing, the boxing debate arena. Shout out to everybody in the chat. Christopher Roman, Knockout Ned, Bray. Who else do we have here? Timothy Figueroa, The Quacks, So Passive, Super Sardonic, Bray. What's up, guys? Welcome to BDA Boxing. We have an interesting show today. We're going to be talking about the Canelo versus John Ryder fight that will be taking place this Saturday. We'll also be talking about Deontay Wilder, what happened there. Apparently he got arrested. So we're going to talk about this and much more. And we're opening the phone lines right away. And another thing, good news for everybody who likes the second Renaissance show, because we have a second Renaissance show right after this one. So stay tuned for that. The link is in the description, and we're going to be posting the link for that specific live stream on the chat, in the chat. So yeah, make sure you watch that second Renaissance show. It will be hosted by Mr. BDA, and Mr. BDA will be joining me today as well over here. I just gotta call him. I'm gonna call Jimmy. We're gonna open up the phone lines, and we're gonna get this party started. Now in the chat, let me know if you're excited about this fight regarding Canelo, John Ryder. I just found out it was a pay-per-view. I didn't know it was a pay-per-view. I thought you only needed the Zone subscription. Apparently it's a pay-per-view, so I'm kind of disappointed. It's like $80 for that shit. All right, hold on. Let me just call the Jimmy, recognize, and Gonzalo. Yeah, so pay-per-view. Can you believe that, guys? SSC in the chat says, good afternoon, gentlemen. Good afternoon. Puro Sur says, yo, back. All right. Joe is in the chat as well. Yeah, let's talk about the Canelo fight first. All right. We have Mr. BA. We have Gonzalo. Guys, welcome to the show. Who wants to jump in and tell me what you think about this fight? I mean, John Ryder is a clear underdog, but are you still interested in this fight? Do you think something can happen? Fireworks.
Hey, it's a good style matchup, man, because they're similar in height. So you know they're going to be exchanging punches.
Yeah, it could be fun for a little while, I guess. Oh, you never know. Listen, Canelo, how old is he? Is he getting old? You know what I mean? Like, it could be that moment in his career.
He's about 32, yeah. I mean, listen, I dislike the fact that this bout is on pay-per-view. It shouldn't be on pay-per-view. But then again, I mean, I guess that's what the market's dictating now, with Canelo being the one of, if not the biggest star, alongside Joshua, certainly, two of the biggest stars right there. I don't like the fact it's pay-per-view, but hey, if I want to watch the fight, I have to buy it. So, I'm willing to do it. That being said, you asked the question, how good can this fight be? I think it could be an interesting affair. Number one, like Gonzalo said, John Ryder's physicality or physical traits are actually resemble Canelo quite a bit, especially their styles as well. There's guys that are on the shorter end for the division, and so when they fight taller guys, they have to incorporate a lot of head movement, make him miss and to make him reach down. John Ryder, though, the difference is he tends to fight a little bit more on the inside, or at least does better when he's on the inside. That's where he really excels at. Whereas Canelo, he likes to explode with about 3 shots and then get back on the outside, play defense and all that. So I think it's going to be an interesting fight because Ryder at this point has improved quite a bit. You hear people saying that detractors for this fight going, who the fuck is John Ryder? And then they check out his box rec because, they don't actually watch the fights. They go, he lost to Rocky Fielding. That was 6 years ago. It's like these people understand that a fighter can get better, and he has gotten better. Just, again, watch his performances. That's the most important thing here. Watch the actual fights. And I'll say this again. The stylistic matchup is interesting. Canelo's been out of the ring for what? Since September now. He was injured. He's coming off a surgery. You just never know how a guy's going to react to that. So John Ryder, he's a complicated fighter. He's got underrated defense. You just don't want to show up compromised against a guy like John Ryder. So that's going to be interesting to see. And also the other X factor is, will John Ryder step it up in this fight? Because when he fights guys like, the best, like Callum Smith, he was doing very well on the inside, but it's just like, he seemed a little lethargic, a little lackadaisical. And then when he fought Daniel Jacobs, there was a lot of waiting too. When it was clear that he was doing very well on the inside. I know it's easier said than done because Jacobs can't crack, even the super middleweight. But I don't know. I don't like the fact that he doesn't really push the pace. So my prediction right off the bat is I don't expect him to go the way of James Kirkland when he fought Canelo in 2015. You know what I mean? Like he's just going to jump on the guy in exchange. It's going to be a little bit more reserved. But I think ultimately Canelo's better pedigree or superior pedigree and counterpunching is going to get him the win.
This won't be Chavez Greg Hogan.
Well, you never know, man. Maybe Canelo can surprise us and take this guy out. But John Ryder's durable. He's strong. He's about the same height as Canelo. He's built like a tank. And like I said, he has good defense too. He's got good. He's very slippery. Again, rewatch the Daniel Jacobs fight. Daniel Jacobs is a good fighter, and he just couldn't quite get a grasp on John Ryder's timing. So it's gonna be an interesting fight for sure, man.
Somebody in the chat, Grant G in the chat says he's an old 32.
But I mean, how would you guys rate the Golovkin trilogy, the rubber match? How did Canelo look in that one?
He looked all right. Yeah, go ahead, Buto.
No, go ahead.
Considering that Triple G didn't throw a lot of punches, I mean, are you really gonna try to outdo a guy that doesn't throw a lot of punches, but clearly he's looking for the one big shot? No, you're just basically gonna outdo him by a little and win the round, right? So, because Triple G's coming on strong, he got an iron chin. So why throw 30 punches if the guy's only throwing 10, right? Throw the ones that you need to win the round and wait till the guy comes on strong and see what he's got later. I'm talking about Triple G. And if he does or doesn't do enough, we'll still battle him at what he offers. And that's what Canelo did. If Triple G wasn't offering a lot, well, I'm just going to do just enough to beat you, but then come on strong when you come on stronger. And that's what Canelo basically worked off his energy. And if Triple G didn't bring it, you know that he still had something to bring in any given moment if he wanted to. Like he usually did in every fight, like right around the 9th or 10th round. He exploded with a big shot. Well, not necessarily exploded, but he had some power still in the tank. So you don't really want to waste your energy early and have it to where like you get drowned out in deep waters when the older man, starts throwing bombs. So that's what basically Canelo did. He worked off his energy. So he didn't look the greatest, but then again, Triple G didn't look the greatest either.
Well, exactly.
So why are you gonna outshine that? Why are you gonna outshine him by a whole lot, right?
Right. I mean, that could be it. But going back to that question that Grant asked, or that statement that he's an old 32, has Canelo, in your guys' opinion, had that type of career, those type of fights that take away a lot of you? I can think about the Golovkin, the second fight. That was an extremely tough fight. Yeah, go ahead.
Not really, Bucho, because he's got excellent waist movement. He rolls with the punches. You're right. I'm not buttering up Canelo. I'm not bigging him up. I'm just saying he does have excellent defense. So a lot of times he's staving off the power of the shots and he's rolling away, like I said, from the punches. And he's slipping a lot of the shots. He's slipping a lot of the shots. So that means that he's conserved. He doesn't take a lot of punishment, actually.
True.
Yeah, Gonzalo's right. He doesn't really. He conserves a lot of it. He's always been that way. In fact, that's been my criticism of Canelo for the past 10 years. I would say that his punch rate isn't always the best. Now, I do give him credit because since the Golovkin fight, the first one, he improved his ability to cut off the ring and really press the issue a little bit more, as he did against Golovkin in the rematch, as he did against Daniel Jacobs to a certain extent. Because if you watch, for example, the Chavez Jr. fight, he let him off the hook, really. It's like Gonzalo said, it's almost as if he's content to, okay, well, this guy's not offering anything, and I can just win the fight at this pace, so let me just go at it this way. And he was beating Chavez up. Remember, he had his nose bloodied up, and Chavez was a way bigger guy, and he was fucking backing away.
But he even asked, remember at some point, I don't know where they were, but Canelo was like, come on, let's do it, let's fight. And Chavez didn't want to do shit, but neither did he, in a way. You know what I mean? Exactly. So, but in this fight, he's fighting in Mexico. And isn't he supposed to put on a performance?
It's going to be a very technical. Well, yeah. To answer your question, I would say so. I think he definitely needs to put. I mean, it's sold out, right? It's sold out, right?
I think so. Yeah.
Gonzalo, what do you think? Do you think he needs to really put the metal to the metal in this one and put on the show?
Do something different?
Well, Bucho mentioned it, and I was thinking the same thing too. This is Canelo's Kirk Haugen, right? It's sold out. I mean, what Julio Cesar Chavez fought in the Estadio Azteca, like with 105,000 people. I mean, this one sold out. A lot of tickets got. I think they were given away at the end because that's what he wanted to do for the people, or they were giving it away at an affordable rate. So the stadium's going to be packed. I don't know what the capacity is, but yeah, he definitely needs to impress because he's going back home. A lot of fans. Well, a lot of people supposedly, I don't really know, they dislike Canelo, but obviously he's going to be fighting in his hometown, so he's going to have a lot of fans there. But still, he needs to impress those fans, right? He needs to make a statement.
All right, let's take some phone calls here. 470, you're on the air. 470.
What's going on, guys? Can you hear me?
Barely, man. I think you're driving, and you might have your window open. I don't know.
No, I'm outside doing some cardio, but
go ahead.
Clear now. Better?
Yeah, a little bit better.
I think the topic is Canelo still king. I don't know about king, but I think people are going a little bit too hard on the guy. I could see both points of view with Canelo. He's got his issues. He's had his issues in the past with the, catch weights and, testing positive for whatever for the PEDs. But when it comes down to the guy who's challenged himself the most in boxing, I just don't think there's anybody really you can compare to Canelo. I mean, the guy from 154 all the way to 175. I don't think there's anybody else out there who would voluntarily go up to 175 and fight Bivol. When that fight was made, anybody who really studied boxing and knew boxing knew that fight was a tough fight, that, wasn't a gimme. And so I just think that's the thing with boxing, it's a catch-22. If you challenge yourself and fight like the fans want you to and you lose, they put you in that loser box. You know what I mean? And if you don't fight anybody, but you win, you get criticized, but you're viewed as a winner. So, it's like you can't win either way you go. So I think Canelo, I think he's going to win the fight, but I think people are just going overboard with, trying to knock him off his perch. The guy's done more for boxing, probably since Mayweather, in terms of fighting guys, twice a year, exciting fights, keeping the sport going. So, I think Canelo, if he wins, I think overall you just got to look at him and you still got to do.
So you're saying people love to hate him. But after this fight, what do you want to see from Canelo? Who do you want him to fight next?
Oh, I'd love to see. I mean, if he still wants to challenge himself, I don't know about Bivol. I don't know if anything's going to change it. Go in there, jump in there with Benavidez. Or jump in there with Benavidez. Those are two fights a lot of people don't want to see. Maybe Benavidez is more realistic, but I'd like to see Benavidez. That would set everything on fire right there, the Benavidez fight.
I agree, man. All right, caller. Thanks for calling in, all right? Call back again. Take care.
All right, guys. Take care.
All right, let's just go to some super chats. Oh, Jesus. All right, super chat time. Earl Stevens, thank you for your contribution. He says Canelo is the face of boxing. Well, there you have it. Earl Stevens still thinks that Canelo is the king. Then we have Rafael Garza. He says, let's not forget that we have this fight because Dudu docked Sack twice. once when the purse bid was at 1.8 million, and the purse bid was at 180,000. Then Dudu ducked Janibek. Yeah, listen, I don't even like to talk about Dudu Andrade. This guy, I think he's the same age as Canelo at this point, and I mean, forget about him. I don't want to mention his name.
Hey, can I say something about the real quick? Shout out to those guys, by the way, for their contribution.
Yeah,
and Earl Stevens. Listen, the Andre thing is, I would have liked to have seen the Canelo fight. Maybe not as my first pick, but if it would have happened and it would have been pay-per-view, we were like, hey, I'll pay for it. Why not? It's an interesting stylistic matchup. That being said, you have to earn it. And Daniel Jacobs has skirted 2 mandatories now. He clearly avoided Janibek and Zach Parker. And as we know now, those could have been winnable fights. But he chose to go with the PBC, the land of nowhere. And so here's where he's now.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you got to blame yourself at some point. 917. You're on the air, 917.
Hey, Bucho.
What's up?
How you doing, Bubba?
Pretty good, man. What's on your mind?
Listen, man, Canelo, forget about it, man. He's going to put this guy in the fucking subla, Malaka.
Yeah. Malacare.
Gonna eat this guy alive like a fucking cheeseburger.
Yeah, I mean, this shouldn't last 12 rounds. That's just my opinion. What do you think? Do you think Canelo has extra pressure to get this guy out of there in impressive fashion?
No, because, it doesn't. Whoever he fights next is going to make or break his career. You understand?
Oh, I understand.
So it's important. He knocked the guy out. Does it matter? Another fucking tomato can.
So what do you want Canelo to do after this fight?
David Benavidez, somebody said good fight right there, man. You got the fucking burrito versus the enchilada.
True. I mean, if you want to consider him full Mexican, then of course. Oh, he's a burrito. You're right. Burrito's not even Mexican. Burrito is like a
listen.
Tex-Mex.
Benavidez, he's an enchilada with a little bit of habichuela. The Dominicans eat the habichuela. You mix it together, make a nice pot. You know what I'm saying? But listen, if you don't fight Benavidez, I want to see him fight Charlo, knock the motherfucker out cold.
Yeah. I mean, if it doesn't happen this year, or it's pretty much over, they're both getting old. So, yeah, that's another great fight. People have been talking about that for a long time.
Listen, Charlo, good fighter, but his chin, no. He's going to get knocked out, Papa. Telling you right now.
Okay. We'll see. Anything else, caller?
I'm telling you.
Okay. All right. Anything else?
Have a shot of Uzo for me, all right?
All right. I will. Take care.
All right, Malaka.
Oops. Sorry. Malaka. We'll get another phone call here. 905. You're on the air. 905.
Yo, what's going on? Can you hear me good?
Yep. Perfect. Go ahead.
Yeah, man. So I just wanted to talk about Canelo at the end of his career. Like, when is it coming? And I think it's coming pretty close, right? I mean, like, after this fight with Ryder, then who did he got left? He possibly can fight Benavidez, and like the last caller said, you probably can fight Charlo. I mean, Benavidez is the fight that everybody wants to see, but, like, what other fight does Canelo have? Like, what other legacy fight, what's going to happen going forward into his future is the big question, right? Like, how many
exactly. No, I think there's not a lot of options. Just my opinion. Just quickly, I'll give you them. Okay, so there's the Benavidez fight, which I think should happen after this one. Then we have Bivol again or Beterbiev. I don't think Canelo should move up to 175 again. And then you have Charlo. But even Charlo, is that really a big fight at this point? Is that something that Canelo actually wants to? He was going to be able to get motivation out of? Nah.
Yeah. That's true, man. That's true. Yeah.
There's not that many options.
It's going to be pretty interesting to see what happens. Yeah.
But,
for sure.
Okay, but I agree.
I wanted to, Another thing that I wanted to ask you guys too is in regards to the WBC with Dimitri Bivol and Beterbiev, And I think it's just pretty BS that the WBC chose not to put the WBC belt on the line for undisputed because, if anybody's been paying attention, right? So what do you guys thought on that?
For which fight?
So the WBC basically don't want to sanction the fight they don't want to put the belt on the line between Beterbiev and Dmitry Bivol if that fight were ever going to happen, right? Because Bivol is Russian, I guess, and so they don't want to, I guess because they have their sanctions. So I just think it's pretty BS because we're not going to get the undisputed fight if the WBC belt is not on the line, if they don't want to put the WBC belt on the line, right? Yeah. So I don't know if the undisputed fight can ever happen between Bivol and Beterbiev. And so, in my opinion, I think that's pretty BS, right?
I don't know. I don't really follow this belt sanctioning bodies, this drama. And if they do what you're saying that they would do, that they're not gonna include that we'll be seeing this unification fight if it takes place. I don't really give a shit because I know that these guys are the two best light heavyweights, and the winner will become the lineal the lineal light heavyweight champion. So, I mean, it sucks, but at the same time, we experienced boxing fans, that we follow the sport, we know who the real champions are. So, who cares? Fuck the WBC.
True,
I don't really give shit.
All right, man. That's all I want to talk. Thanks for having me on the show. I appreciate it, brother.
All right, take care. Yeah, BDA, did you hear about this? The WBC not being included in a potential unification fight?
Yeah, apparently somebody mentioned it. I forget where I heard it, but that's the news that's going around. And I'm completely on your side, man. Screw the belts, especially listen, Bivol doesn't even sound all that interested in a Canelo rematch. So it indicates that he's a true fighter that obviously he wants to get paid, but he doesn't want to just go for a payday by itself. He wants a bit of a challenge at this stage in his career. So I'm thinking that he's probably the type of guy that if he could reach an understanding with his fellow Russian in Beterbiev, they could say, you know what, screw the belt. Or even perhaps even screw all the belts if they get in the way. Just we know that this is the fight to make. Now, the news for the past couple of weeks rather, is that they're really pushing for Beterbiev versus Callum Smith. So I don't think that's the next. I don't think Beterbiev versus Bivol is a fight we're going to get next.
Well, we'll see.
Yeah. But listen,
I'm going to take another phone call.
Okay.
323, you're on the air. 323.
Hey, ¿qué pasó, Bucho? What's up, BDA? Don Madrazos. Guys, you were mentioning earlier that there was no rule option, and yeah, I mean, I agree that the options are pretty slim at 168. And I don't know if that's what, if that's what he thought about. A lot of people were speculating that, Benavidez would be Canelo, and a lot of people still feel that way. Although I've never felt that way, and I feel less that way now. It would just be a good legacy fight, I guess, just to shut the naysayers up. And as far as Charlo's concerned, that guy's going on he's on over 2 years of inactivity, so I don't think he's going to have much of a challenge there either. So I have to agree with Bucho on this one, that there's not a lot of options there. Now, how is he going to look after the surgery and all that activity he had in the last 2 years of fighting? We'll see. I also don't think, I think John Ryder's definitely a winnable fight. And it's to test the waters. That a lot of people just don't understand. This is a tune-up fight. This is like a stay busy fight. It's not the most serious fight. And to be fair to Canelo, at least, fighters are making careers out of stay busy fights or tune-up opponents. Like Andrade's whole career can be summed up as, hey, you're just fighting stay busy fights. That's it. That's your whole career. You haven't fought a champion. You haven't fought any real elite top contenders. And I think Charlo only fought 1 or 2, maybe, top contenders. Derevyanchenko, and I don't know, you can fill in the blank with who else. There hasn't been anything real there either. So.
J-Rock? Well, that was a prospect. I don't know.
That was a prospect, yeah. But there were, and then how well did that victory age? Like that victory did not age very well at all.
No.
So, it's hard, man. You really you're watering down the sport with having nobody fight each other. And I was trying to explain this to somebody the other day that the boxing is getting really watered down because nobody's fighting each other. If you had a group of 5 talented guys all fight each other, one would emerge. Like if we started doing that now, we would have a new face of boxing in a couple of years. But unfortunately, these careers aren't being managed that way. These careers are being coddled. Nobody's taking a risk. Nobody's taking a chance.
Yeah.
Maybe at the lighter classes they are. We see it at the lighter weight classes. Sure, they're taking chances. But we're not seeing it in these in what's supposed to be the marquee fighters, so the marquee weight divisions, right?
Well, look at Crawford.
Marquee weight divisions.
Sorry to cut you off, but look at Crawford and Spence. How old are they? They're almost their mid-30s at this point.
I mean, I love the meme of them as old men, and the fight, and then it's like the poster of the fight happening, and then they're both old. It's I've lost a lot of interest in that fight only because Crawford, I don't feel like Father Time. I don't feel like he's at his best anymore. He's just going to be older, and we're never going to know. We're never going to know how if that fight does get made, and we just won't know. But on the same token, think about it this way. Despite that Crawford's older, that's one issue. But you also have to think of Spence's inactivity. Also, he's young. Why isn't he fighting? Who's managing this guy? Why isn't he? He should be out there. He should be fight. He should have already fought Keith Thurman.
Right.
He should already be sweeping.
No, they
guys out
need
of
to
the
step
division.
it up, man. And I hope they learn from these other boxers and how their careers turned out. Where, like, for example, Spence and Crawford, Thurman is a good example. I mean,
it's a waste.
Yeah, those careers stalled.
It's a waste. They've definitely stalled, and I find myself. I remember I just saw Gabe Rosado went the distance with that guy he knocked out, the Beck the Bully, and I was laughing. I'm like, man, can you? I was telling this casual next to me when we were watching the Davis fight. I'm like, this guy has a better record than a lot of the guys in this week.
He fights, and he fights, and he fights.
Here.
Yeah, I mean, this guy fought all the time. You gotta give him that.
Yeah, this guy has a better.
Didn't see the round.
Better resume. And
yeah.
Better, Gabe Rosado has a better work rate and resume on paper, just basically on pure activity, than Charlo, Andrade, and Benavidez put together. I mean, this guy's fought more world champions. He's lost, sure, but he's gotten in the ring. He's got all that experience. He's not like a marquee talent or anything. But if these guys wanted to be really serious about their career,
and let me just say before we move on, your great point. And imagine that he was a boxer with, no disrespect to Rosado, but somebody has more talent. Imagine he was fighting at the rate that Benavidez was doing, and all this fight. I mean, he will be a superstar. I don't understand why these fighters don't get it. If you fight all the time consistently, you will become a star.
If Benavidez fought half the fighters Gabe Rosado fought, he'd be a fucking superstar right now.
Of course.
Because he is more talented. He is more talented. I think the guy could beat a lot of those guys, but he just doesn't do it. It's so weird. It's just anyway. I don't know. I think Canelo's fight is going to probably do around 400 to 500 K pay-per-views just on his name alone.
We'll see. All right, Don Madrazos, thanks for calling. Call back again next time. Take care.
Take it easy, guys. Take care.
Yeah, there's no secret. Some boxers, I don't know. I think they believe that there's a secret formula to become a superstar. There's no secret formula. You just fight and you fight and you fight consistently and you put on good performances. People will love you, like Gladiator.
Even if they want,
like Gladiator.
Even if they want to fight more. Yeah, even if they want to fight more, they don't really have the choice because it's up to the promoter has to work with the TV companies and these networks sometimes they don't. How many calls we got left?
1, 2, 3, 4.
Jeez, okay.
Yeah, let's take it. 5-1. Oh, somebody hung up. We'll go to the next one then. 949. You're on the air. 949.
Hey, how's it going? This is Zero Cool. I would like to see either Canelo fight the Bivol rematch or Benavidez. Personally, I think Benavidez struggled versus Plant in the counter. He was getting countered too much, and Canelo's way better than Plant, so he has to look out for that. Realistically, I would like Benavidez to fight, Andrade or Charlo plus one more just to gain more experience, because I did see skill on that Plant Benavidez fight, but he was rocked, he just has to add to his experience. Canelo has had plenty of good experiences with champions, so that's why he'll be the favorite, especially because he's better. But overall, I believe they said that Top Rank won the purse bid for the Better Biev versus Smith. I know you guys were mentioning it earlier about that. So I think they outbid DAZN by like 15,000 or something like that. So it was like 2,115,000 or something like that. I'm getting a little annoyed with a lot of people saying that Tank is the new face of boxing. It's like, no, he's not. I mean, he hasn't really done much. I said it on Discord. I'll say it online right now. His resume would be good if he was a 20 to 22-year-old prospect, but he's a 28-year-old prime fighter. His resume is pretty trash. Going back, one last thing, going back to the secret of becoming a superstar or whatever is exactly what you said. Keep fighting and put a good performance. Look at what happened with Cruz. He was almost a nobody, and he got instant fame because he put on a great match against Tank. So if you let your fist do all the talking in the ring, and you fight consistently, and you fight good competition, not just people that you're favored to win negative 1,600 to 0 or whatever, you keep challenging yourself, keep fighting top 10 ranked fighters from different sanctioning bodies, keep your game up, and, people will find you. But, in this day and age, with Ryan and Tank, it was just a big hype, big social media hype, and, I want to see what kind of numbers Tank, gives out in his next couple fights.
Yeah,
I doubt that it'll be the same. I don't even know if he'll be able to get half of that, to be honest.
Yeah, depends on the opponent. All right, caller, great points, man. Call back again, all right? Take care.
For sure. Bye.
All right, let's get through some. There's a lot of phone calls here. 347, you're on the air.
Hey, what's up, BDA? It's NPR. How you feeling, man?
Hey, this is Bucho, but
Good.
BDA's here as well. And NPR voice.
Sorry, man.
No problem. Take it away.
Oh, so you're talking about the face of boxing, and just, you don't need to answer this right now, but if anybody's familiar with Andy Warhol, the artist, what he represents, he's the guy that came up with the notion of branding. And what you're seeing on a general kind of societal level and from these boxers is international brands being the face, the kind of champion for the whole notion of a concept of ideas. In the case of Canelo, it would be something like Mexican-ness, right? He represents a whole set of kind of notions of being in the world and what it means to be Mexican in the world. So the answer is, you're saying who is the face of boxing? You're saying that who is the face of boxing that best represents the ideals of Mexico? And if you want to see this in the real world and how it played out, well, if you went east from Britain, he started fighting British fighters, and then he circled down to the Ukraine, and then he went all the way over to Uzbekistan. And what he's doing is he's representing the ideals for each of these nations, including guys like Triple G and so forth. So each one of these nations, he's introducing the notion of Mexicanness to the world, and these guys are saying, "Hey, we're regional players. We're on the world stage. We're a whole country now, Ukraine and so forth." And that's what's been going on. And so you're fighting an ideal of the ideal of the best values of each of these places embodied in each fighter. Inoue is the same kind of thing. He's the best of Japaneseness.
Right.
And that's basically what it boils down to is that they're brand ambassadors for a whole nation.
Or region.
And that's what you're looking at.
Yeah.
Okay, guys? Anyway, think about that for a minute. All right, I'll see you later. Nice speaking with you.
All right. Call back again, NPR voice. Take care. This sounded like a university lecture. Very interesting. It's true, though. I mean, can you really say there's a face of boxing? I mean, maybe we're just thinking about the United States or North America. There's other places around the world here. All right, 773, you're on the air. 773. Please go ahead.
You are now off the house queue. Hello.
What's up, Kevin?
How y'all boys doing?
What up?
Nothing much. Nothing much, boys. I'm gonna call in Spit It Hot. Drop it like it's hot on your forehead. Yeah, when it comes to this, the king of boxing, the face of boxing, I think you're talking about, does he have a legion of fanboys behind him? If that's the case, yes. He is the face of boxing. He is the king of boxing. Now, if we're talking about who is the best boxer in boxing, that's Usyk. That is Usyk. Now, of course, he won't get the accolade. He won't get the respect because he doesn't have the power machine behind him because it comes from a poor Eastern European country. And he's just never going to get that backing, that support. So this whole idea about king of boxing is purely, like the gentleman said before, marketing, branding, promotion, money, power, respect. You're selling. Nigga, know what you know about that money, power, respect. Get you go. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Oh, you make a lot of sense,
right.
Of course. So it's a popularity contest.
But as far as yeah, I mean, there's a few phases. Popularity. I mean, it was like that conversation with this. Well, Davis sold 1 million, and he's the new face. And then, well, Ryan Garcia, it's his first pay-per-view. Before that, Terrence Davis only sold 200. It's absolute hogwash. This conversation, it's kind of a silly conversation.
I agree.
You guys are supposed to be boxing purists. You're supposed to be hardcore.
There's not much. I mean, we're not going to break down the Canelo Ryder fight. We're not going to break it down. I mean, it's not much to talk about right now. So, but that's what we want. Different perspectives about what is boxing. You know, philosophical. We're getting philosophical here, Kevin.
Yeah, exactly. I hear you. I mean, there's not much going on. They had that big fight, and it's kind of slowed down, stalemate. I guess the Wilder stuff, though, that's pretty interesting. I just seen he got arrested. What exactly happened?
Who, Jimmy, are you there? Can you explain to everybody what exactly happened? Because you know more about the United States, the laws and all that shit.
Yes. He was in Los Angeles driving in a Rolls Royce. I don't know if it was a rented one or if it was his own. I doubt it was his own. Why would he? I don't believe he owns property in California, so I don't think he would own a car there. But anyways, driving a Rolls Royce. What he was originally pulled over for, I don't know. But he had the blackout tint in the driver's window. In California, that can give him probable cause to then look the car for. Well, that can get probable cause to get pulled over. You don't even have to have a moving violation. If they feel your tint is dark enough that because you can actually be holding a gun. When I was a kid, I used to have tint so dark you could walk literally. You had to put your hands up on my window and like cup your hands and try to see in. I could have a pistol facing at your face, you wouldn't even see it. So, anyways, they pulled him over for that. In the end, asking for his license and registration, they smelled a heavy scent of marijuana. That then gave them the probable cause to search the vehicle. If they would have said no, you have to ask, because if they said no, then they would have just handcuffed him, handcuff him and wait for a warrant to come over the wire. Either way, they're getting in your car. While searching the vehicle, they found a 9mm handgun. Even if he has a license to carry in Mississippi where he lives, it's not a reciprocity state, meaning there's 30 states. Like if you belong to a state that say, we allow other states' licenses, we'll use them. If you have a state, Nevada license to carry concealed, we have reciprocity in the state, we'll okay that license. And in turn, Nevada will then okay yours. California does not have any reciprocity, meaning if you have a license to carry from any other state, it doesn't work. So they can't use that as an excuse. Well, I thought I could carry. Either way, he doesn't, which he probably doesn't. I try to find, my wife's actually checking right now to see what his priors are. I know he does have an arrest, a prior arrest in Las Vegas in 2013. He choked, strangled a woman and beat her eyes, one eye swollen shut and split her lip. So a 6'7" man put his hands on a woman that bad that he swelled up her eyes and had strangulation marks on her neck.
Oh, wow.
So he was arrested. I don't know if he was actually convicted of that. Being arrested and convicted is two different things. But if he was convicted of that particular charge, I don't believe there's anywhere in a union you can get a license to carry concealed. I think that usually negates that. So, it's a serious charge. If this was 10 years ago, he'd be looking at a year in prison for carrying an unlicensed, secured firearm loaded too. And if he was anything else that they would get him for, depends on what drugs he had, that could be a felony. But with today, I don't think he's looking at that. But it's not a good look. And he actually even came out and made a comment that I'd rather be safe than sorry. So he's not apologizing, not making excuses. He's justifying him carrying an illegal firearm because he'd rather be safe than sorry. I figure being a 6'7" world champion heavyweight boxer would give you enough security. But in the same token, I can understand why he would need to carry a handgun, because it is what it is.
Kevin, I hope that answered your question.
Yes, it's like that Project Pat song. He got a weak-ass pistol charge. You guys know that's Project Pat song? He got a weak-ass pistol charge. We can get gangster. We can get if you hoes want to go over there, we can get gangster. No, I'm joking. What an idiot. I mean, the dude's got millions of dollars. He should have people around him.
Yeah,
security and all that.
Great point.
So he still wants to act a fool. He's almost 40 years old, however old he is. Still acting a fool. Go off, you idiot. You big doofus.
All right, Kevin, we're going to move on.
Anyways, I'll leave you guys to it.
Take care, man. Yeah, it's true. I mean, you should be a little bit smarter, especially when you're a multimillionaire and you're almost 40. Come on. Let's take another phone call here. Let's go through these phone calls somewhat quickly, but I don't want to give time for people to tell their stories here. 470, you're on the air, 470.
What up, Bucho? This is Never Sober from the Discord.
What's up, man? What's on your mind?
You can hear me, right?
Yep.
I want to answer the question of the show. Is Canelo the king of boxing? Of course, or the face? Of course he is. He got boxing on his back, and he's carrying it. All this little shit about this fool finally hitting 1 million pay-per-views because he fought Ryan. That's not meaning nothing. There's so much there's so many asterisks around that fight, bro. He cannot call himself anything off that fight except a fucking cherry picker. So whatever, right?
But the numbers.
This is who I want Canelo to fight next. What happened?
But the numbers, 1 million. People are saying that Tank Davis is responsible for this.
No, of course he's not, bro. That's what I'm saying. That's why, I'm kind of mad at Ryan for giving in to so many stipulations. He gave them all the juice. He gave Tank all the juice when Ryan didn't know how much he was worth. He was just young and overconfident, bro, and he didn't really know how much he was worth. So they played his ass like a fiddle.
Interesting. About Canelo, go ahead.
Canelo, who I want him to fight next. Say, okay, he beats Ryder, right? Fuck Bivol, fuck that fight. Although I know he's gonna fight Bivol, but say I'm in control. Fuck that. I want you to fight. Charlo. Bring his ass up to 168, right? Knock his ass out. Give him a tune-up. Give him Anthony Durrell. Let him knock his ass out. And then offer Errol Spence $10 million to come up to 168. knock his ass out. Give him another tune-up. Give him Andre Durrell, let him knock his ass out, and then let him offer Crawford $15 million, $16 million to come up to 168, knock his ass out, and in that span of time, if after he beats all these dudes, if Badou Jack is still at 190 cruiserweight, go up, take his belt, knock his ass out, and then retire, bro.
Did you mention Benavidez?
No, I did not.
Why? Just quickly, tell us why.
Because who the fuck? I don't give a fuck if he fights Benavidez. I'd rather see Benavidez fight some other dudes. I don't want to see those two guys fight. I don't want to see a Mexican on Mexican crime. That's the end of it.
Interesting.
They don't need each other to be great.
Interesting perspective here. Okay, so you're against Mexican crime. All right. Well, anything else, man?
No, that's it, bro. That's all really. I just want him to fight them names, and he'll retire legend, bro, with all those names, bro.
All right. Take care, man. See ya.
All right, bro.
All right. We're going to go for a super chat here. Don Cookies. Thank you. He says, Never Sober is a genius. 100%. All right. I guess he agreed with everything Never Sober said. Let's get another phone call here. Let's go through these phone calls. 510. You're on the air. 510.
Hey, what's up? First and foremost, what's up, Jimmy? What's up, Gonzalo? What's up, Bucho? What's up, BDA? And what's up, other guy too? Secondly, you know, like I'm not a.
Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, I thought somebody was gonna say. Obviously, you know the delay, not whatnot, but yeah, obviously, I'm not a Canelo fan at all. I mean, to me, this dude, the only reason why, like, I just want to, like, kind of be a little bit more precise of, like, why I dislike him in terms of the boxing. I think, you know, I've been watching boxing since way back when, and I mentioned before, I'm always a fan of, like, the Mexican boxing history. Like, I remember watching, like, you know, the old fights with my dad, like, in the 90s and the 2000s, and it was just, like, you know, pure entertainment, magical shit happened. Like, these dudes walk forward, they crack each other. These guys are like going out and banging, and that's what I'm gonna pay for. That's what I want to see in boxing. And now, like, honestly, the only reason why I think this dude is even he has any sort of relevancy, Canelo's is what who I'm speaking about, is only because that boxing is just lacking in terms of talent, in terms of people that want to fight, in terms of, like, you know, the business deals, like. It seems to me what they're doing overall across the board, right? Whether you look at the Mexican side, whether you look at the PBC side, you look at the Russian. Maybe the Russians are a little bit more honorable in terms of, like, you know, their resumes are a lot better and they tend to be a lot more diligent. But overall, I think what's that dude's name? Don Madrassos kind of spoke on it too. Like, essentially, they're like using like the slow burn sort of like deal. You know, they're basically fighting people that make their fighters look good, and I get it. That is a part of boxing, and I think the entirety of the fan base, to an extent, recognizes that. Like, you know, they're gonna build somebody up, and they're gonna have him fight lesser competition because that shows the guy off, and people were like, oh, you know, it creates the hype. So I get that part of it, but to me, honestly, I've said it before, and I just want to make sure that I'm on record for, like, specifically saying, like, how you beat Canelo is with better boxing IQ. You know. Or significantly better boxing that, because he's smart, but he's not that smart. I haven't seen anything that, oh shit, I'm like so fucking amazed about. Because, for example, when I look at Lomachenko, or even when I look at Inoue, I'm always like, fuck, man, it amazes me, like, how these dudes just, like, on the fly, or even Floyd, right? I don't want to talk about Floyd, but even him, right? The presence of mind, that's what you call boxing IQ, or B-ball, obviously. Like, that's when I'm looking at the dude and I'm like, shit, man, this guy, damn, that's crazy. This guy thought of this. Oh, fuck, man, he's going to do this. Oh, no, he's doing that. But with Canelo, it's more straightforward. So there's a lot of aspects to, like, his fighting style that to me, I'm just not impressed. Like, the guys that he's fought, I understand some of them were mandatories or, like, he had to fight those guys. I don't give a fuck about them. And I don't watch this dude. I hate talking about him because, but, you know, at the end of the day, what I want to point out is this: the only reason why this guy is famous is because boxing is lacking.
Yeah.
And there's nobody else to fill that void.
I kind of agree with you because
filling the void, because
Just quickly, I agree with you because at this point, Canelo's 32, and there should be somebody all ready to take that mantle that become the new face of boxing. You want? There's nobody. I don't see anybody.
Yeah, and even before, but this is what surprises me, right? This is what I was going to point out earlier on. This is what I kind of hate because right now the fucking iron is hard, or however that expression goes, for somebody to come in right now and just fucking take over.
Yeah.
And make boxing like actually better like that. Because I remember, like I'm telling you, like I remember watching Marcos Antonio Barrera versus Morales, and like that fucking fight was a banger. Or like even going back watching Mickey Ward versus Arturo Gatti, it's like, dude, it's like I want to feel that fire again.
Yeah.
So like, you know, at any point in time, this shit can change. I think this is a symptom of the problem with just like society in the West overall. A lot of, if you look at other industries, like for example the gaming industry, right? It's a similar thing. They're giving out a product. It's a less of a product, but people are still buying it, and they're thinking they're getting a deal. But these guys are essentially hustling you to say like, oh shit, I got a cookie. I got half a cookie for full price. Cool, man.
I would say that.
And me personally, I will win my dollar. Me personally, I just don't buy this shit. And I understand some people take it the wrong way when I say shit about, you know, fuck Ryan Garcia or fuck these guys. Because I'm not going to pay for them. I'm not going to waste my time, mostly my time, because I'm working 12, 14-hour days. But I'm for sure not going to waste my time and my money on some fucking dickhead who is fighting some fucking nobody bum. I'm just not going to. But and you know, Roberto, I was going to point this out. Roberto, I was watching an interview about Roberto Duran, right? And he said it best. You know, back in his time, there was far more talent. Now there's less talent, but there's more money. There's more free money rolling around, whether it be the deals, the side deals, whatever, like the chicanery that's going on all the sides. That's what's going on here. And to me, like I mentioned before, this guy, that's the reason why he's there, and I recognize it. I know a lot of people, my people hate me for talking about him, because honestly, when Canelo beat Bebo, like, trust me, man, I got called everything under the sun. Race trader, blah, 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 this and that. And I'm like, dude, just look at who the fuck he's fighting. Look at the style. I've said this many, many times, and nobody gives a fuck about when I say it because, you know, I'm a nobody. But when you speak against the Mexican, whatever, demigod or where the fuck this fucking Fruit Loop is, like Fagnello, like, people get hate on you. Because I've said it before, this guy does not beat anybody with better boxing than you, better footwork. That's it. It's as simple as that. And you know, I just wanted to say that.
Caller.
And I think, you know...
We gotta move on. We gotta move on. There's so many calls here, but just wrap it up quickly.
No, yeah, I'll end it with that talk. That's all I just wanted to say. And people dislike it, fuck you too. I don't want to associate with you at all. If you understand what I'm saying, then cool. You know, we can talk more about it. Because essentially, I'm just subjecting. I'm looking at it objectively, right? I just want to see better boxing, and I want to get what I'm paying for. I want it to like be actually worth something. So that's it. All right, thank you.
All right, call back again. Okay, man. Take care. That was a great call.
All right, thank you. Yep. No.
All right, let's go through these phone calls here because I want to touch on some topics here with the people in the panel. 661, you're on the air. 661.
Yo, what up, Bucho? Shadowban, the face of combat media, the face of Hollywood. I just wanted to give you guys the facts of why Canelo Alvarez is a star. Number one, because he sold his soul to the Illuminati. If you see the fight he went to Undisputed with, remember, Bucho? And if I talk fast, it's because I'm trying to get the point across without being slow, and I'm not on drugs. Okay?
No, that's fine. That's fine. Go ahead.
The fight, for sure. Thank you. The fight with Caleb Plant, he went Undisputed, right? Caleb Plant, it's an anagram of Cabal. Cabal Plant. Okay, whatever. That's not enough. Canelo's logo is the Freemason G, which represents Lucifer. It's a G of Lucifer. All right. Now, if you've seen Caleb Plant's fight versus Darrell, he had the Freddy Krueger outfit on, which is the Nightmare on Elm Street. If you guys don't know what that movie's about, it's about people who don't want to go to sleep because Freddy hunts them in their dreams. And when your consciousness gets transferred to your REM duplicate clone, it happens in REM phase of sleep, when you're asleep. Okay, those are just symbols, whatever. You've seen Benavidez' last fight, the best fighting spirit in the game. You've seen Israel Adesanya, his last UFC fight, with the dog collar around his neck, like he's enslaved, like he's somebody's pet. He has the best fighting spirit in the game. You guys all seen it. You can act foolish and funny if you want. Be thankful to know the truth, right? Not you, the people listening. You guys know. And then QNR, the dude who called, with the Q&R voice, what's his name? That dude. He mentioned, go to the East, trying to sound all smart. The dude who caught up and insulted you guys. Oh, you guys don't know shit about boxing. No, you act like you're vets because you just predicted one fight wrong. Like he's fucking Nostradamus. Like that can't happen.
Mm-hmm.
He's just a typical China hater who just can't say that Canelo is the face of boxing and he is the number one. You can look it up above all these NBA players, and I've mentioned this before. The most famous, most marketable athlete because of numbers, demographics. He has the support of the China haters. He has the support of the Mexicans, all colors. He has the support of all Latinos, right? That's what makes him so big. And it's not all. He's just another China hater like the dudes who like Usyk or who want to call Usyk the GOAT because he went the distance with the dude Andy Ruiz knocked out. They just don't want to admit that the best white boxer ever comes from Mexico. Canelo Alvarez, because, they think America's hot shit, but there hasn't been a white American champion in years. But yeah, you heard David Benavidez say, my point is, you've seen Canelo pop dirty for steroids, right? You've seen Canelo pop dirty for steroids. What happened?
Yeah.
He's still champion, right?
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. That's how it works. There's no secret ingredient.
Are you saying? So you're saying
sell out to get
he's like Illuminati whore?
Canelo?
Yes.
Yeah, you see the Dolce and Gabbana sponsors he has.
Mm-hmm.
Dolce and Gabbana. Dolce base is a military base in Dolce, New Mexico. It's on a Apache Indian reservation. That's the central hub of all the military bases. From that base, you can get to Area 51. You've heard of it. You can get to the one in Canada from that base. And Gabbana, look up the definition of Gabbana. If I'm lying, I'm dying. The definition of a Gabbana is a long-legged, big-breasted woman who's ready for sex, who likes sexual encounters any day, any time. Dolce and Gabbana, right? It's
I'm going to Google
base
that.
and Gabbana, basically sex slaves and prisoners, right? But yeah, that's the key to being as big as Canelo. Be a white ginger, like the Blood In Blood Out movie. Miklo, like the white Mexican, ooh. And then it's kind of like he stands out from the other Mexicans. But he is a good fighter. He's the best white boxer to ever do it. Hence why the China haters try to diminish his accomplishments because they think they're hot shit. Mm-hmm. But yeah, that's all I wanted to say. That's the key to being a star in this world. Do what the Illuminati says, or you're not going to be a star.
Interesting. We need to talk more about this, man. I'll contact you on Discord, man. You have some interesting points of view. All right.
Peace and love. Keep doing the show. Peace.
Take care, man. All right. That was Fighting Spirit, Shadow Band, I should say. All right. Next phone call. 240.
Yeah, that's all I wanted to say. That's the key to being a star.
240, you need to mute. You have a background noise. You need to mute the live stream. 979, you're on the air. 979.
Hello.
Yeah, you're on the air. Go ahead.
What's up? This is Bruce. I called a few weeks ago I made a prediction on the Tank Ryan fight. But anyways, so you're talking about like the face of boxing, right?
Yes.
Well, I think Canelo is probably still face of boxing just by default, but Tank, he can be face of boxing. Like he could be face of boxing in like 2 fights. Literally, like all he has to do is just fight Devin Haney and Chris Stevenson, and like Canelo did, take out all the undefeated champions in his division and be the man. That's how he became face of boxing. So Tank does that. I mean, will he? But if he does that, he will. I mean, want me? Who would deny him face of boxing if he does that within this year, like by December?
I don't know. You're right. Because you're right. Because most of that popular talent is in around those weight divisions, right? The lightweight, super lightweight. So yeah, you're right.
Exactly.
Maybe.
And
unless I'm missing somebody.
It's crazy. Tank has always been like that boxer that like he's always like 1 or 2 fights away from being where he thinks he's at. You know what I mean? Like he thinks he's the best face of boxing right now, but in reality, he just needs to fight Devin Haney and get all the belts, you know, and really be the man. But it's like he's like thinking one step ahead of himself for some reason. I don't understand this way of thinking. All he has to do is just do what every other boxer's done in history and beat the best guys, and that's how you gotta do it.
Yeah, you know? It's pretty simple. That's what I said earlier.
Well,
it's
easier said than done, of course.
Right. Anyways, anything else, caller?
All
right.
Well, I think Canelo's going to take this guy out in like 6 rounds, and that's it.
All right. I agree with you. 6 rounds. That sounds reasonable. All right, caller, take care. All right?
Take care, everyone. Bye.
All right, let's try this last phone call here. 240, you're on the air. 240.
Hey, 240. Can you guys hear me?
Yep, perfect. Go ahead.
So I'm just going to make it quick and fast. I just don't understand this question, to be very honest. I mean, you have the guy who, after he defeated, who was it, Kovalev? I mean, at 56 wins, Canelo could have retired. He went after Callum Smith. I know Yellow Dream is not a great fighter. He went after Beetlejuice Saunders. He went after Caleb Plant. He went after Bivol. And GGG. Is that really a question? And I like how people sleep on John Ryder. John Ryder just beat fucking Daniel Jacobs. And John Ryder gave a tough fight to Callum Smith. I mean, people were actually saying that John Ryder actually won that fight. So let's not just not. Canelo's fighting tough opponents. There's no one here for him now. And I think he's the face of boxing still. There's nothing to say. There's nobody at his level that's taking the risks he's taking. So to me, he's the face of boxing, and that's all I can say.
Okay, great point. About John Ryder, you're bringing up good points. I mean, this guy has fought a lot of he even fought Billy Joe Saunders at some point.
Thank you.
It was a long time ago.
Thank you.
Yeah. It's.
I don't know why people sleep on John Ryder like he's coming there to fall down. I mean, he's not a very known name, but in the world of boxing, people know him.
I just think Canelo's better, but I'm not saying Ryder is.
Canelo's going to be better than most of the names we put in front of him. Even if you put Benavidez and Canelo's still better.
Yeah, of course.
So it's like, yeah. But thank you for having me on the show, though. I love you guys.
All right. Take care. Thanks for calling and call back again next time.
Take care.
All right. Let me just read a super chat here. We got Juggernaut with a wrench. He says Canelo versus Bivol is not fighting. Canelo versus Bivol is not fighting Bivol because there are conflicts of interest from both parties. So Canelo should just fight David or David. Yeah, we want to see the David Benavidez fight. I agree with you. I don't want to see Canelo 175 again. I don't think he is not a light heavyweight. Carlos Roque, thank you for your contribution. He says, Jesus, I can't even pronounce that word. Parangarikutiribukaro Puro China haters. All right. Tell me what that word means, because I don't know what the hell that means, but yeah, Puro China haters. You got that right. All right, before we go to the panel, I said it was the last phone call, but I see another one. So this is the last phone call, all right, guys, for now. 442, you're on the air, 442.
Yeah, so I want to see Canelo fight David Morrell and David Benavidez to pass on his torch. I think that's an important aspect of boxing that we kind of neglect. Like, Ali wouldn't really be Ali without Sonny Liston. Mayweather and Pacquiao wouldn't be them without Oscar De La Hoya. Oscar De La Hoya wouldn't be himself if he didn't fight Chavez. So I think I wanted to pass the torch to somebody who is young and is worthy of it, and not someone like John Ryder. That's it.
Okay, man. All right. Well, thanks for the phone call, all right? Take care.
It's not time, Bucho, to pass the torch on. He's still fighting for himself and what he can do for his legacy. Look at Crawford. He's 38 years old. We're going on 30. I don't know. Canelo's 32, man. Doesn't throw a lot of punches, yes, but he's fighting at 68. Tend to age a little older. And 32 is basically the prime of your life as a human being. And in boxing, I know it's, a little earlier. But then again, he's got a lot of experience, man. 32 is still, you want to do something.
Right, right. And like we talked earlier, you don't think he's an old 32, right? He hasn't been in many wars.
No. He's been in wars, but he hasn't taken a lot of punishment.
Right, right. Jimmy, if you want to jump in as well on this. And I noticed, Jimmy, that you sent me something. I don't know if you want to talk about it. I can show the people in the on YouTube that Rick Glazer the tweet. Do you want to talk about it?
Well, it's just that he said he was going to come up with his number, and we'll get the number from that lawyer, from that Los Angeles-based lawyer. And again, his numbers have been vindicated on more than one occasion. And he said 960,000, which is incredible that it did that many. But it's still, I think, what did boxing scene guy who works for boxing scene say it did? 1.2 or 1.3? That's still
wow.
$250,000 more than. But again, the thing is this: if Showtime puts it out, if that's the number, then have Showtime put it out on their webpage. But they refuse to do it.
Yeah.
Because they can't, because of stockholders, investors, people who put in money for the night of the fight, beer vendors, people who get slices of the pay-per-view. They can't lie about the numbers, being the provider. So instead, they leak it through our media, who have been caught on numerous occasions putting out overinflated numbers. And it's important because the numbers, people say, why is that important? It's important because it determines your status going forward. But the next thing is, all right, so you got to look at this. People want to say that's exclusively on, Davis. I mean, there's a way to figure that out. The prior 5 pay-per-views, he did one that did barely 220,000. Mm-hmm. The others, all the rest, were under 200, including when he fought the little gnome dude there, Isaac Cruz. That did 60-something thousand. So that's who he's going to be fighting next. I would almost bet my life that's who he's going to be fighting next, because now that his corner has come out and said it, and has been writing a couple of guys, close to the PBC, who have said the same thing. So they're probably going to be doing that fight again next. And of course, it'll be on pay-per-view. So this will really determine on where he stands. Can anybody see that thing doing 500,000 pay-per-views against Isaac Cruz? I don't know. I'd be shocked. I really would. It would determine if this thing say this thing does 200 or less, then it's clearly, you can say, well, wow, okay, so then 800,000 of those pay-per-views were obviously brought in by the kid with the tens of millions of followers on Instagram, and who's backed by Budweiser, and he's got car companies. He's got a lot of different corporate sponsorships too. So, anyway, so we'll
Jimmy,
determine to see. What's that, brother?
Do you think that this fight that Tank had against Ryan Garcia is going to help him become, I guess, more popular and attract more people, have more viewers, or no?
Well, it depends on how many people looked at that fight, became a fan of him because of that fight. How many casuals who now, did he grab any casuals or people who didn't normally buy pay-per-views? I don't know. I think a lot of it, my personal opinion, was Garcia and his popularity. But again, that fight wasn't a very great fight. And I think a lot of people who bought it on behalf of Garcia were probably upset about how he performed and didn't look like he, kind of threw in a towel there at the end. So it's a tricky thing. But then there's other ways. But then comparing him to Canelo, listen, because you finally almost crack 1 million pay-per-views, that Canelo's been there numerous times. 7 pay-per-views they've done 1 million or better, or was it 6? I forget. I just read it. But then then there's other metrics that they're not open for discussion. Is you go to like Google Trends and compare Davison's name to Google, and Google, 86% of all search engines, people use 86% of all time someone uses the computer, it's on Google. And Canelo crushes them worldwide. There's not even a comparison, actually, to how much more traction. And that's whether it's news, shopping, YouTube, images, all of them. Canelo absolutely annihilates him, his name, including to today, if you match it through the end of this year. So clearly, and then you look at things like 15,000 people showed up to his open workout. 15,000 people. Most fighters can't even get 15,000 people to show up to their fights. He had 15,000 people show up to what it was like 90-something degrees, and there was no shade. So he clearly still is the face of boxing. And anybody who says otherwise is because they have an agenda to push. But there's no doubt about it. He's just being disingenuous, whether you like him or not, if you say he's not. And he will be and continue to be the face of boxing, and like Gonzalo said, until he decides he doesn't want to be anymore. And that's my thing on that.
Yeah. So here's a question. Do you see any talent right now that could maybe not reach the Canelo level of popularity in the future, but at least close to that type of popularity? Might become the next face of boxing?
Not in the way the sport's going, not in the direction of the sport. No, not the infrequency and where they fight. And listen, they deliberately target. There's a targeted audience. Remember when they were advertising for Davis, his handle is purposely badmouthed hardcore boxing Twitter. They weren't targeting. That wasn't the people they were looking to target. You know what I mean? So they're not even looking to appease the people who support this sport, the people who without the sport wouldn't exist, the basic hardcore fans who've been here year after year after year. That's not who they're targeting. And if he's going to fight Isaac Cruz again next, people are going to look at that. That's not going to go over well. Right away, the hardcore people are going to be like, oh, fuck that. You're going right back to what you used to do. So, no, I don't think it'll do big numbers, and I think it'll show exactly his plan. Listen, he's closer to 30 now than he is 20. Garcia showed how limited he is, and it's not because of natural abilities, how limited it's because of lack of fighting. You know what I mean? There's a reason why Oscar De La Hoya publicly stated 2 months before the fight, this is a bad idea. This is a bad idea. Of course, he's going to change his tune once the fight's a signed, inked deal, and it's time to fight. Of course, he's going to start saying, oh, we believe in our fighter, yada, yada, yada. He wouldn't have said that if 3 months back in December, all those articles coming out, and he's on, in front of camera when he was at his high school doing a toy drive, and they were saying, so what do you think about, him fighting? Oh, I think it's a bad idea. So it wasn't like, straight up, I think it's a bad idea. He needs at least another fight. At least one
right
more.
Away.
Because they saw what everybody else did. He was inexperienced, and it showed that night.
Yeah.
His punch selection, his fanatic pace, just everything. It's just inexperience, and that's what they were counting on.
Jimmy, based on what you're saying, we have two comments here from somebody called Fans Unite. He says, you forgetting Canelo isn't crack anything close to 1 million without a big name in the ring. And then he also says... He also said something here that says Canelo versus Callum Smith was less than 300,000 pay-per-views. Canelo isn't the face of boxing, so stop telling lies.
Okay, well, I'll tell you what, champ. First off, Canelo Smith wasn't a pay-per-view, so oops. We'll start there. Second, didn't he sell 800,000 plus Plant when he fought Plant? Benavidez just fought him and sold 60-something thousand. So, and what about when he fought Julio Cesar Jr.? They did 1.3 million. But if he's going to start off, right when you start off with something you don't even know, and you're calling Caleb Smith a pay-per-view when it wasn't, so you don't know what you're talking about, dude. You're just saying words.
Right. How much did Tank do against Rolly Romero? Or who was it against that? Garcia?
That was his highest.
Oh, no, Garcia.
Garcia? Oh, yeah. It did under 200,000. That's from Espinosa's mouth. He said there's only one fight out of the 5 that did over 200,000. He said his highest fight, Santa Cruz. The highest fight he did was against Rolly Romero prior to this past fight, and that did 200 and something. Everything else, because he said the only fight that did over 200 was his highest against Romero. So he has 5 pay-per-views. Only one did over 200,000. So is that a sample size? So the abnormal one is the 960,000, whereas Canelo has regularly done. He'll do 500,000 against a complete unknown. He's going to sell 500,000 probably.
Jimmy, but maybe, shouldn't we lower our standards? The standards that determine what a pay-per-view what a pay-per-view star is, what a superstar is, because boxing is not the same. I mean, we're living in the post-Mayweather era. Nobody's gonna be.
Yeah, I mean, I personally think it's a shame that Ryder's a pay-per-view. I think they're doing that because of the spectacle of it, because it's being in Mexico City. This is going to be a big event. It's going to be a real big event, Mexico City. I mean, I hear there's supposed to be over 80,000 people there. So it's going to be the largest sport watch boxing event in decades. I mean, he set the indoor record. I know they like to talk about, gates. He had the 5th highest gate in Vegas history. Great. But Canelo sold 73,000 tickets in America, a country he's not even from. 73, shattered the indoor record. Shattered it. So,
yeah. I wanted to mention something in regards to Tank Davis claiming to be the next pay-per-view star, or people suggesting that he is. First, and not that I'm saying, I was watching Un Round Más with Antonio Barrera and Eric Morales, and they said it. Morales said, if you're supposed to be that guy, Tank said it, I'm that guy. Well, if you're the Billy Badass that you say you are, you fight people without stipulating a clause on them. Rehydration and catch weights. For one, stop fighting smaller dudes, and people are going to acknowledge you as being the guy that you claim to be. That's very important because people see through the bullshit, whether it's casual or hardcore alike. When it comes down to like, hey man, we want to see what you're about, because at the end of the day, it's boxing. People are gonna tune in. It's been a sport that's been around for like 100 years. You're gonna draw that attention. People are gonna see through that. You gotta fight the people at the right weight, and you're gonna get the credit. You're gonna get the acknowledgement.
Yeah, that's a good point. And in the chat, somebody said that Fury did 94,000. What didn't Joshua make more than that? I don't know, but it's still a lot of people.
I think they did 100,000 in Wimbledon.
Yeah. But still, I mean, 80,000 is gonna be crazy, man. And that stadium in
so that's
Guadalajara,
gonna be big.
that stadium in Guadalajara, you guys gonna see that's. I think they built that at like 10 years ago. It still looks pretty amazing. So. No, it's gonna be a fucking huge fight. Few boxers can pull out this.
I just want to add too, Bucho, real quick. It's kind of weird. Not only did he say that Canelo Smith was a pay-per-view, he came up with a number. Where did he get that number if there wasn't even on a pay-per-view?
Yeah, 300,000.
Just curious. He should call into the show and explain that one.
Well, he keeps repeating it. I mean, I don't know. Go ahead, Gonzalo.
Let's not act like Ryan Garcia didn't have a few things that he brought to the table that he was going to bring fans to the sport. Let's not act like Tank Davis has got everything that people are going to say, I want to watch that guy that commits violence against women or whatnot, shows up on giving these excuses with his toothbrush full of shit. And you're going to tell me that's going to endear people to be, hey, I want to look at that guy. Obviously, he got some boxing skills, but like I mentioned, he's bringing these dudes down in weight. Ryan Garcia, he brought a lot of, if not boxing qualities, he brought a lot of good things for this, because he does have some boxing ability. I'm not going to say all of a sudden be wishy-washy and say he don't. Yeah, but he was dehydrated. He's got a lot of fan following. That's basically what I'm trying to say. He's got a lot of fans that carried over to the sport. So let's not act like Tank Davis is the sole contributor to selling 1 million pay-per-view buys, because he isn't.
No, that's crazy. That's crazy. And guys, what about this? I've been hearing some people say, well, Shakur Stevenson could become the new face of boxing if he beats, like Devin Haney, then Lomachenko or Tank Davis. 2 or 3 big names, and that's it. Pay-per-view star. What do you guys think about it? Does the style play a factor though? The boxing style? Because he's not that exciting, in my opinion. What do you guys think?
No, what? Davis?
No, sorry. Shakur.
Haney?
Shakur
Stevens? Yeah, Shakur, he'll have a hard time crossing over just because of his style. It doesn't usually... Because we've got to remember, it wasn't so much Floyd's style that got people's attention. He deliberately made himself a villain on purpose. He used that to his advantage. Plus, in his early days, he was a knockout artist, and he was in excellent fights, and he brought it. So he already had a core base. He was on HBO, I believe, 23 times. Also, listen, Canelo, maybe he's confused. I want to say that about DAZN. If you have a DAZN prescription, it was free. So that's why I counted not a pay-per-view. But if you didn't have a prescription to DAZN, if you signed up with DAZN, they would give it to you for short money. So I guess in essence, you could call it a pay-per-view, but it wasn't a traditional pay-per-view. You just had to subscribe to DAZN, which they would give you a break on, and in turn, you got the fight. But it wasn't billed as a pay-per-view.
No.
I mean, in some of the fights, you could tell Shakur is trying. Given his hand problems, he's got to dismantle opponents. That's his big shot, to like break them down and beat them up with picking the right shots, because he's not going to knock you out with one punch. Although I have to say he does have a good left hook to the liver, but like he's kind of inconsistent. With Valdez, he did good. With who other guy? Jamel Herring, which was an older Marine dude, fucked up from the didn't have like real good knees, because that happens to Marines when they get older. Older guy, but like with Nakatila and the Brazilian dude, he was inconsistent. He beat them, but he didn't look spectacular. In other words, he's got to look spectacular and keep it consistent by dismantling the opponents, like he kind of did with Valdez, but at the higher weight now, in my opinion.
I want to thank Trooper 5131 for joining the BDA membership program. Thank you for being part of the BDA family. Yeah, Gonzalo, great points. So you don't think he could become a star?
He's got to whitewash these motherfuckers. He's got to like really beat them up and show that he's that talented and make the other guys look limited.
Exactly, but that's the thing, though. And then imagine if he moves up to 140, it's gonna be even more difficult to take these guys out. So I mean, he might be the real deal in terms of talent and outboxing these guys, but again, he might be missing that Mayweather factor that Jimmy talked about. That people want to see him lose. Mayweather was quite a character outside the ring. This guy is not really a character.
That's what I would want to watch, because if his punching power and what he brings to the table is being truly tested, he's gonna be right at the edge of that like his powers, where you want to see if he can deal with the bigger guys, and that'll draw a lot of attention, like you're mentioning. I think I would want to watch him for that.
Yeah,
if he can deal with the other guys.
But Gonzalo, we're boxing fans, right? We are interested in these fights. I'm just talking about, can he transcend the sport like Floyd Mayweather did, or Manny Pacquiao? I don't know. I don't think he can transcend the sport, just because his style is not that exciting, and he's not a personality outside the ring. I mean, that could change, but I don't see that happening. I think Mayweather, it's a one of a kind. He's the only one, I think, that will be able to pull that off. The having a boring style, but still attracting a lot of fans. Also, what played into Floyd's what Floyd he benefited from the fact that there were a lot of Mexican or Latino boxers around his weight division. So that helped, but when it comes right now, I don't know, man. Shakur would need big names, big Latino names to.
I got a question about that.
Yes,
because I was thinking, how did De La Hoya never beat an A-lister? I know that the first name that people are going to throw out is, well, he beat Chavez. Chavez in the 90s, he wasn't, he was whatchamacallit, mainstream famous in Mexico, but he wasn't mainstream famous in the U.S. So it's not like he was on a Trinidad type level. You know what I mean? Like B+ in terms of box office.
Well, I would say, Mr. BD, I would push back a little of that. Amongst boxing fans, did he have mainstream cultural appeal in the United States? No, not so much. You're 100% right there. But amongst boxing, everybody knew Julio, especially by the time De La Hoya fought him. In that 1989 fight against the last second win against, having a brain fart, you know who I'm talking about. Thank you. That fight catapulted him. Really did. Amongst they were showing that on ESPN. The mainstream news showed that, talked about in sports. That was like the lead story. Boxing was still a huge sport amongst the United States back then. So that's the reason why. But no, he didn't have because he didn't listen to Oscar De La Hoya. Back then, the Olympic boxing, would pull 15, 20 million viewers for Olympic boxing. And there was never an Olympic boxer in my lifetime that put the eyes that Oscar De La Hoya did. That fresh-faced little kid with his little squeaky voice.
But he was taking
huge.
people out. He was taking.
But that's what I'm saying, though, because you said.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, I agree. Chavez, that's what I said. He was a big name amongst boxing fans. Boxing fans are a minority within the rest of the world. So that's what I'm saying is you don't have to beat a mainstream guy to become mainstream. You just got to just be on the cusp of that and then fight the best. Because Pacquiao was an A-lister who beat an A-lister. Mayweather was an A-lister who beat an A-lister. And that was De La Hoya. But De La Hoya never beat another guy like him. Chavez wasn't that guy, Pernell Whitaker certainly wasn't that guy. So that's what I'm saying is if these guys want to become famous and mainstream, they got to fight the best and they got to put on the show as well. They can't just have that ass style, the American slick style.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Of course, listen, of course.
And clinch.
Well, I said if Shakur beats Taney, he beats Tank, maybe Loma again. If he beats Loma as well, then of course he can become a big name in boxing. He could become the best pound for pound boxer, actually, But my question is, can he transcend the sport? Like De La Hoya transcended the sport. I remember he was in a bunch of commercials back in the days, and
he had his first professional fight. He had TV ads coming out of the Olympics. Before he fought his first professional fight, he was on. And even boxing back then, though, right? It was considered. What they say now? The top, like they say, the four big sports: NBA, baseball, NFL, and hockey. Those are your four major sports. Back in 1989, boxing would be mentioned amongst. They would say there was five major sports. In the 70s, it was the number one sport. The numbers crushed baseball. No, not baseball. It was the only one that didn't beat regularly, but it destroyed NFL. Just imagine that. Boxing was bigger than the NFL in the United States in the 70s. The sport only has itself to blame. The tribalization of the fucking networks and putting everything behind a paywall. Because of its own nature of the beast, we have made this become a niche sport. Yeah. But by doing that, it's made it a lot harder to become a cultural icon.
Okay.
Hey, Jimmy, what does the paywall mean?
A paywall, behind the paywall pay-per-view, you have to pay to see it.
Okay.
Yeah, you're right, Jimmy. Maybe.
The thing, though, yeah.
Go ahead, BA.
Yeah, these guys have to step it up. I mean, I remember, listen, this isn't anything new. Back in the 90s, Roy Jones, he was on the cusp of superstardom for a while, but he was facing bums. I'm talking like sanitation workers.
Yeah.
He wouldn't step it up. And then when he would fight guys like, when he would unify against Reggie Johnson, he would drop him. And then the other guy was afraid to commit. So Jones was just content to, pot shot here, pot shot there. And it was boring. And it wasn't until he went up to heavyweight that he actually got, ESPN and all that to cover a lot of his, his shenanigans. And then by then it was too late. And he ended up losing a year later to Antonio Tarver. So, gotta push the limit, man. And it's not enough, like I said, to have that ass style and just clinch and run around and punch out. The sweet science. Okay, fine. You want to be the sweet science, but people are going to pay for it.
Well, Roy Jones, I mean, to be honest, in that division, there wasn't really anybody. There was Mikulaszewski, I believe, at some point, but that's it.
There you go. Another guy that he avoided, yeah.
Okay, but other than that, there wasn't really that. I'm not defending Roy Jones. I'm just saying that he was in a difficult situation as well. Right? There was really nothing he could really do. He was like heavyweight. Either you move down, he was already at 160, and then you move up. It's like 20 fucking pounds or something.
There you go, Mitchell.
Yeah.
There you go. He could have moved. Remember, they used to tease. He used to tease people about how he's going to fight Holyfield. He was going to fight Buster Douglas. He was going to fight Tyson. And then he goes back to fighting fucking David Telesco and other people. I mean, that's what I'm saying is you can't fuck dick the fan base around.
He went back down
to
fight
this guy, and then you turn around and fight a guy that nobody wants to see.
But once he went down, he fought Tarver.
Yeah, but by then, that's my point. By then, it was too late.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I'm not going to defend
He ended up losing after. So the point to apply to today, because I don't want to talk too much about the past, today, guys like Shakur Stevenson and all that, they have to be entertaining. They have to put on combinations. They have to, like Devin Haney, for example. That's another dude that, I mean, the fight against Linares. Well, I have to clinch my way out of the last 3 rounds. Okay, but I mean, actually, Squatch, Devin Haney, I don't blame him too much because he's what he is. Like I've said before, if people watch his fights expecting him to put on an entertaining show, you're not going to get it. So at a certain point, it's the consumer's fault as well. If you keep watching this guy expecting him to change his oats, it's not going to happen. But there's still other guys like Shakur Stevenson's got a good chance to be more than just a boxer. Who else? Tank Davis knocks people out, but again, he spends the first 6 rounds just running around trying to run somebody into something a la Deontay Wilder. It's hard, man. It's difficult.
Yeah, like
a lot
Jimmy
of these guys.
said, it's a different environment.
And then, of course, you get the Mexicans. Yeah, you get. I mean, then you have like, listen, what makes a guy mainstream? Lomachenko, they tried hard as hell on ESPN and Top Rank to push him.
The Matrix.
The mainstream guy. Yeah, the Matrix, and it never really caught on. It's a mystery why sometimes a guy makes it and why sometimes a guy doesn't. Also, speaking English works.
Right.
And let's face the facts, Lomachenko, he's not exactly a guy that people want to hear speak.
That's a major factor. The English is a major factor, and that's why they would push, promoters would push their guys to learn English. Now that's considered racist, but back then they would tell them, you want to become big, you got to speak English.
Well, it makes sense. I mean, you need to communicate with the fan base, right? Have that connection. But Jimmy, what about Golovkin though? Because he became pretty popular, and his English wasn't the best. I think it was because he was knocking people out.
Of course, that's exactly what it was. He would knock people out in devastating fashion. And then also the law, the people who were avoiding him, and it was public. I know his haters don't like to talk about it, but it was obvious, including the biggest guys at middleweight at the time. They were just, I mean, remember the British kid who's tough as nails too? The knockout guy said when he was asked about, oh no, you avoid him, you swerve him. He punches like a mule. No, you want nothing to do with him. Then the Argentinian champion Martinez wanted nothing to do with them. Guys throw their pens away. They just avoided him. People paid him. Cotto paid him $800,000 so he didn't have to fight him. So the avoidance with him was real.
He also looks like, or I don't know, talks like something weird. He looks like the Terminator. So that endears people to him like, oh man, that's fucking like the Terminator.
And that Mexican style he adopted, it's cultural appropriation, yes, but that resonated because it wasn't appropriation. He wasn't disrespecting Mexican fans like his detractors say. He was paying homage to their style. You know what I mean?
Mexicans like that.
Violent.
I don't think Mexicans hate that.
I boycotted his.
Yeah, exactly. No, of course not.
I was going to say this, man.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I can't. For some reason, there's a delay between you and I specifically. But what was I going to say? Yeah, Golovkin. Yeah, mate. That's the thing, though. I remember people complaining back in the day. Why are they pushing? Why is HBO pushing Golovkin? Why are they promoting him? Because he's white. It's because he's knocking people out.
Exactly.
If there's somebody if there's any type of fighter out there that you want to promote, it's a guy that's knocking motherfuckers out. That's what boxing loves, and that's the thing. Just like you said, Chavez, Golovkin wasn't mainstream. But he was on the cusp because, like Jimmy said, everybody in boxing knew like all the hardcore fans, almost all the hardcore fans supported him because he was the guy knocking people out. And then Canelo came around, and that was the fight to make. So that's what I'm saying here. I don't want to jump ahead too much after the Canelo-Ryder fight because, again, he still has to take care of Ryder, and that's not an easy opponent right there. But people are saying, well, who's Canelo going to fight next? Charlo's been out for 2 years. Andrade is in a big name, and he's not entertaining. Benavidez can't sell for shit, but that's the first name that comes to most people's mouths now. But here's the thing. Give it a year or maybe even just a year and a half. Someone else comes along that becomes the next guy. And that's the beautiful thing about boxing is there's always somebody that's coming next. Maybe not a mainstream star just quite yet. That takes a while to develop. But there's always the next fight.
And BDA, can I push back a little? Not on you, but the people who said that HBO pushed him because he was white. Not only isn't that true, HBO wanted nothing to do with him. Tom Loeffler had to jump through hoops. And basically, his first 2 fights on HBO, he did it for next of nothing, like almost no pay. I think his first fight on HBO, he got a $125,000 check because he was solicited, get him on, you guys, because he was a kid from Kazakhstan. They were like, come on, huh? But the problem was, at the time, Andre Ward was the face of HBO boxing, but he was in a 2-year legal battle with his promoter to get out. Was it Goosen? I forget who it was, but anyways, he put himself on a shelf. and he was so angered that what happened was, just as a filler, they were just going to use Gennady as a filler until Ward came back. But instead of Ward's style, which was hugging and boring, I mean, he was a very cerebral guy in the ring, but he was boring to watch. You know, G came in with that sombrero, the music, and just put people's lights out. And all of a sudden people were like, whoa, next you know, HBO was like, and so it was a groundswell of support, and that's what made him the face of boxing. And what did Ward do? Of course, like he does with Canelo now, started bash mouthing him. Lied about he made a contract, or he offered to fight him and they turned it down. He's the one who started with the little G, the moniker that stuck, you know, with the crowd that hated him. That was all comes from Andre Ward, jealousy. Because the kid from Kazakhstan sold more in the country that he won a gold medal for. And that's just the facts.
Jimmy, in the chat, Juggernaut is saying, who watches Andre Ward's reruns? That's a good question.
Exactly.
I mean,
I watch it for technical stuff because, I mean, say what you want about the guy, but he did have good defense. But in terms of, I'm going to sit down tonight and rewatch Andre Ward fight, absolutely not.
But they say skill pays the bills, right? So This is the thing. I mean, it does pay the bills, but if you want to earn a lot of money, transcend the sport, you can't really just rely on, on a shitty style of boxing, a boring style of boxing.
And I also think that a person like him, coming from a different country, is like fighting for something, because a lot of the days and the weeks and the months you're training up at Big Bear, like with Abel Sanchez, you go unseen. Your life is kind of stuck to like in the gym. Right, and when you come out and it's your moment to shine in front of the people, that's when you give it your all. And you're fighting to maybe get permanence here, over there in the United States, residence. I don't know. But now he's like living in LA. He became a millionaire, so obviously he was fighting for something that he had been denied ever since 2007 when he came to the United States, or 2011. I forget.
Good point.
That's the thing, though, and that's it's interesting though, because first of all, Andre Ward was dirty and boring. Say what you want about Floyd Mayweather. He certainly used his A-side tactics outside the ring and all that. But at least inside the ring, he was relatively clean, other than the injections he would have in his hands and the whole, like I said, the A-side tactics outside the ring. But he wasn't a clincher necessarily or a headbutt guy. That's what Andre Ward would do. Headbutts, low blows, a lot of clinching. It was something else. But I will say this too. Yes.
Just quickly, Mayweather did have that forearm that he used.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you're right. I forgot about that. See, I choose to forget about that because I don't want to recall that era anymore. But I'll say this, though. Speaking of this era, because some people are saying, well, who's next? Who's next? Look at what David Morrell did 2 weeks ago on the Garcia versus Davis undercard. Went in there against a Bollywood star, knocked his ass out in one round, and already I could see a buzz. I could sense a bit of a buzz amongst boxing fans saying, ooh, David Benavidez, very watch out. Why? Because he knocked out. But that's the power of the knockout. So if Morrell, they keep putting him in there 3-4 times a year, because that's what Golovkin was doing between 2012 and I want to say 2016. He was, well, not 2016, but 2015. He was fighting 3-4 times a year, knocking people out. So he was always reminding people, hey, I'm here. Don't forget about me. That's what they need to do with a guy like Morrell. That's how easy it is. Just knock a bunch of people out, and there, people start getting on board. Now, it's always better if you're knocking out better guys, good opposition. But it's always,
it's a highlight reel. You can replay that shit. This is a guy. Look at this guy. Oh, shit. He knocked somebody out. Did he knock somebody else out? Oh, yeah. There's another highlight reel here. Okay. This guy looks interesting. What are you going to... When you look at a guy that always goes 12 rounds, outboxes somebody, what highlight reels are you going to play?
Shakur Stevenson. I think he's really talented as a boxer. But if I was to say to you, put together a 30-second or 10-second, 15-second clip you could put on as a commercial, what would you put on?
When he fought that guy at 130, he came forward a little bit, then that guy quit, and that's the only fight.
Wait. He didn't quit. Hold on. Jamal Herring didn't really... Well, he didn't complain, but that was a referee stoppage. He didn't complain.
He didn't. I think he didn't do anything, man. I was surprised. Credit to
Herring. Herring. He was shell shocked. That's PTSD. But I want to say that again, you just never know. Like, a guy like Stevenson, he's in a bit of a bind because you'd have to find someone that's really. I mean, that's the thing with Andre Ward. for a long time, 2013, 2012 is when he beat Chad Dawson. And then people were like, well, who the fuck is next? What's next? And then Kovalev came along. And then he started knocking people out. And then by 2016, that was a fight to make. So, like I said, listen, the market right now, that's the beautiful thing about boxing is we've got Cuba opened up now. Although I guess Cubans, for some reason or another, they're 3-rounders, really. They're not really, but you never know. That might change now. Now that they're trained, some of them are training in the U.S. You've got the Eastern Europeans moving in. And when we say Eastern Europe, we're talking a whole fucking section of countries. So that's what makes that stacks up the talent pool even more.
Yeah, we're seeing more fighters from
Mexicans in the
Central Asia. I mean, Eastern Europe. I mean, what is Eastern Europe? I mean, it's Ukraine, Russia, for the most part. But Central Asia. Now we're seeing, exactly, Central Asia. Which I don't know if you want to consider that Europe. It's quite far. Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan, Kyrgyzstan. So yeah, we're seeing more boxers coming from there now. I'm noticing.
Exactly. So it's wide open. And then, like I said, you got the traditional markets like the United States, Mexico, the UK, Canada is still here a little bit. Quebec really, that's the capital of boxing here in Canada.
Yeah,
so there's always somebody, like when you get that many markets, there's someone that's gonna come out of nowhere.
I think the South Americans are also giving it their all. Like the Dominicans, the guys from Central America. South America, Argentina, they always been players too, but yeah, they're relevant as well.
Yeah, and I wanted to say something, I just forgot. Shit.
I cut your train of thought. I bet.
No, it's okay, man.
Hey, by the way, this week we got Canelo versus Ryder. Like I said, I don't know if the other guys gave their predictions. I'm curious to hear them. But also after that week on the 13th, I believe, of Saturday, we have there's not that much. There's an ESPN card. The guy that beat Rigondeaux is going to be fighting Andrew Maloney on the undercard of the Janibek card. So that could be interesting that day on the 13th. Then you got the Showtime card, Rolly Romero versus old-ass Ismael Barroso. That card is not good. It's like the DAZN card we just had with Camadon. It was very subpar. But then there's one day where we got 2 fights on the UK. It's Venado Lopez taking on Conlon, and that's a couple of miles away. It's Warrington versus not Warrington. Lara, Mauricio Lara versus what's the guy's name again?
Liam Wood.
Liam Wood. Yeah, Lee Wood. So that's going to be 2 complete. So boxing is starting to shape up after maybe. On the 13th, it's going to be a little subpar, but then afterwards it picks back up, man.
Yeah. Very interesting. We're going to have a lot of shows for those fights. Oh yeah, I was gonna say this about the boxing and the superstars. I remember, well, you guys remember, everybody remembers that debate that Joe Rogan had with Lou DiBella on ESPN. I believe it was in 2006, 2007, where Joe Rogan said that boxing is dead after De La Hoya and Mayweather. There won't be any superstars, blah blah blah. And after that, you had Pacquiao, which he didn't mention. And you also had Canelo, obviously. So there's always somebody that comes out, even though we might not know who that guy is right now, but I do believe somebody's going to come out and become a new face of boxing. That's just my statement.
Yeah.
Gonzalo, do you think
in regards to John Ryder, Canelo Alvarez, BDA said something that was kind of interesting. Got me thinking. Because for some reason I haven't been watching like a lot of highlights lately. Ever since Ryan Garcia lost, I was fucking rooting for him. I got a little bit down and out with actually like watching boxing. Hey, I'm just calling it as it is. Freaking John Ryder, he works off the energy of the opponent. Yeah, he does have good stamina, but if the opponent ain't doing much, he's going to sit back in the cut and wait until the guy does something in order for him to work off what he does. With Canelo, he doesn't throw a lot of punches, but he's basically, he's the kind of like a counter puncher, will work off the energy from the opponent. And if it's a seesaw battle, the one that's going to command more the attention that Ryder's going to be basically going to his hometown, trying to work up Canelo energy. Although Canelo doesn't throw a lot of punches, he's going to make Ryder work off of him. And so that basically means that Ryder's gonna, although he got good stamina, is not gonna throw a lot because he's gonna wait until Canelo throws to counter Canelo. But then Canelo's a master at that game, so basically, in my opinion, he's gonna be controlling the fight, and it's gonna knock him out whenever he decides to pull the trigger.
And really when will he decide to pull the trigger?
Because he doesn't have one more thing, because Ryder, if anything, he's gained experience and everything. He doesn't have the ability to step it up and dictate the pace. Yes.
So Canelo, he's gonna be in control. So you're saying he will end the fight whenever he decides to end it, right?
Well, obviously he's gotta invest with the body too. He's gotta break him down. But whenever he decides to be okay, in this round I'm gonna step it up and land the right combination after having investing to the body from the beginning, yeah, he's gonna take him out. I think it'll be around it's you mentioned it. I was thinking the same thing too. This is Julio Cesar Chavez is Craig Hogan to Canelo, John Ryder.
Yeah, but
I think around the 9th round.
Chavez was pissed off though. And you could see he was pissed off and wanted to rip this guy's head off. I don't know if it's the same situation right now, though. I don't think so. They don't hate each other, so I don't know.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah, there was something there. Chavez was pissed off. People who go look at that. What did he do again? Oh yeah, he was calling him. He was insulting Chavez. He was saying that half of the fighters on his record were cab drivers, Mexican cab drivers, and I don't know. He said something else, but it's similar. It's similar. Canelo needs to put on a performance. He's fighting in Mexico for the first time in a long time. There's a lot of people watching. He needs to put on an impressive performance. Rafael Garcia in the chat says Canelo runs boxing, nothing changes. All right. By the way, guys, there's a second Renaissance show right after this. If you don't know what a second Renaissance is, it's a show where it's a live stream. We talk about politics, the paranormal, conspiracy theories. So make sure you join that. It's on Rumble, not YouTube, because you know how YouTube operates. So the link will be posted in the chat. I think Mr. BDA will be posting it there. And there's a link in the description to the channel on Rumble. So stay tuned for the second Renaissance show right after this. Anything else you guys want to talk about?
Well, I just wanted to say something to Gonzalo, because he just said about being upset because he was emotionally invested in the fight, and when Garcia didn't win, out. Hey, brother, imagine being in my shoes. 82 games since October 16th. I've watched every Bruins game. I've been following them for over 40 years. They set an NHL wins in an NHL history. And I said the last time I talked about them on the show, I said, my nightmare is they're going to go and fucking lose in the first round. Not only did they lose they were up 3-1. So that means that Florida, who shouldn't even been in the playoffs, had a 9.4% chance.
Oh, is Jimmy cutting off?
The biggest collapse in sports history. That's what it's being labeled, and it was. The biggest collapse in sports history. I couldn't sleep for 2 days. I was devastated. It was just terrible.
Well,
they were favorite to win the cup.
Well, Jimmy, everybody in Montreal was happy that the Bruins lost.
Of course, that's the hated rivalry. But no, they set NHL's record, the most win. The goalie only lost. His record was 46-6-1. He's going to win the Visa trophies, the best goalie. They were hands down the best team in the NHL.
Well, that's
and they
why,
lost
Jimmy,
in the first round.
That's why you need
after
to
being
have
up 3-1.
But that's a shitty playoff format that we have in all sports here. Like in England, for example, the best soccer champion is the one who finishes first on the table. So basically, the Bruins should have been the champions because they finished on top of everybody. But
exactly, yeah, it sucks because it's like then why do you have 82 seasons? I mean, and see basically what it does, all the accolades they got for the best, I consider it the modern era because back in the day they didn't have ties, so you couldn't accumulate the same points. In my lifetime, I think the greatest hockey team in history is the 1978 Montreal Canadiens. Without a doubt. That's the greatest one-year team. But anyway, so it was devastating. I couldn't sleep. I was fucking, my God.
When you have a good season, when you have a good season,
Jimmy,
you just fuck it up. Go ahead, Gonzalo.
Yeah, what pisses me off about the Ryan Garcia performance, for one, like later after the fight finished, concluded, he said I was getting bored in there, and that's the reason I kept running the same combinations, and that's how I got caught because I got bored. Man, dude, this is a fight where you need to remain focused. It's just 12 fucking rounds, 36 minutes if it goes the distance. That you have to maintain your concentration, and you've been preparing for this moment basically your whole fucking life, and then you're gonna say you got bored. Okay, I'm not gonna mention about the. Yeah, and I'm not gonna mention, and that has a little bit to do with Joe Goosen, but you guys make of that what you will. Now he fired him, which you guys haven't mentioned, and I don't know if you want to speak about it. But another thing. Well, the rehydration clause I want to speak about. I don't want to mention that too much because that he signed the contract. We already knew that, but it is what it is. And what also pisses me off because I do believe that he's got talent. And everything that they said he was, and I thought he wasn't, and many people knew this. Okay, he got speed, he's got power, he's a good fighter. But a lot of people, the casuals are saying he's just a fucking Instagram, what you call it, model or fucking, what is it called?
Celebrity.
What do you call it? Like Celebrity. Yeah, and everything that they said that he ain't got the dog, which I said he does have the dog because we can prove it. We got the evidence. Everything that they say he was, that I said he wasn't, he kind of proved them right. I don't believe that's the case, but it gives that look like he is a fucking bitch.
Well,
and I
Gonzalo,
he isn't, dude.
Well, think about it, Gonzalo. To say something,
they fucking won. They fucking won. The negative Nancys, they fucking won.
Well, to say something like I was bored in there. Now think about the people like, say you brought your woman out to that fight. The airfare. You sat, say, in the bowl, you spent minimum of $2,500 of tickets. That's 5 G's in tickets. The airfare, the hotel. That's a 10 G weekend. You're dropping 10 large on that fucking event for a kid who said I got bored. Just a connotation to everybody who backed you, to people like you, who really thought, you know what I mean? I knew he had the ability. We saw it in the second round that because he put it on him good enough that Davis didn't even get a 10-8 round. So his comment goes to show you where his mindset. In the firing of Joe Goosen, it was just Joe Goosen he's not going to go to the media and say nothing. He wasn't going to have Joe Goosen anymore anyway. Goosen wasn't going to train him again. That was obvious when he didn't show up to the fucking press conference.
Yeah, and
yeah, yeah, go ahead, Bucho.
No, I was just going to say that about that fight that we picked the Ryan Garcia to win that fight, but because, there was also a lot of questions about Tank Davis, what his level of competition was and what he has showed us in the last few years. This is Tank's biggest fight, guys. So, the more people criticize Ryan Garcia, that you're criticizing Tank Davis at the same time. He hasn't really fought anybody. This is his biggest fight. And people want to mention, but what about Leo Santa Cruz? Somebody said. Leo Santa Cruz was a bantamweight, guys. Now, that can't be his best fight. And he was, that was a close fight. He was getting outboxed, I would say. So I think people need to calm down a bit.
And the whole thing with Oscar De La Hoya being escorted out because he was getting threats sounds a little like suspect to me. I don't know if I truly believe that. Everybody dipped out on Ryan, and I guess because if you're invested so much in the guy and you were expecting him to win, because if he won, he would have basically been like the number 1 or number 2 as far as pay-per-view sales, but he didn't. And I don't think Tank gets that credit as of now yet. But maybe that was like that was a Debbie Downer for De La Hoya, and they said, "Fuck, man, we're just gonna like bounce. We're so pissed off." And another thing with Ryan Garcia mentions, well, I got Jesus Christ in my corner. That just, don't fuck. I do believe in God, dude, like fervently sometimes. But when you say I got you, you sound a little hollow, dude, and a little fucking cheesy, in my opinion. I got you because at the same time you say you fucking got bored, right, dude? I mean, where was Jesus Christ when you needed him to tell you, hey, okay, come up with a good game plan?
Yeah.
Don't resort to fucking.
Yeah. He needs a PR team.
That was guilt, I think. That was spoken from guilt because he knows deep down in his heart he could have got up on 10 and he didn't want to. I'm not saying he quit but he just didn't want to. I mean, you could not, how you know that? Because right at 10, he got up with no residual effects, no wincing, no just got up and he was like, yeah, okay. So And the other guys saw it. And listen, Julio Cesar Chavez knows boxing as well as anybody. For him to hear what he said, his comments to the press.
What?
I was a big. Well, he, like you said, going into the fight, he even gave him advice. He went and he even went to a couple of his fights. He said, "I will never watch that kid fight again. You can count me." As Ryan Garcia goes, count me out. I will not waste my time on any more of that kid's fights. That's how bad he felt he quit.
Really?
That shit hurts, huh? Yeah, that's what he said.
Yeah.
That shit hurts.
I didn't even know he said that.
I can feel it.
Wow.
Imagine that. Imagine Julio Cesar Chavez. When he speaks, Mexican fans listen. For him to say that, whether there was Mexican fans, whether they're on the fence or whether they believe he quit, now they think he quit. Because when Julio Cesar Chavez, and he knows when he said that, that's, you know what I mean? Like, when you can say things, certain people can say things and they carry weight. Their words have meaning. And when you say that, there's millions of Mexican people who are going to take his words as gospel. So he crushed Ryan Garcia as far as a lot of Mexican fans are concerned.
Damn, I didn't know Chavez said that.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, he did. And it's like, Chavez, he's talked to Ryan Garcia. They're actually, they're friendly to each other.
Yeah.
But when some guy that talks to you nice says that about you, and you know that he's going to hear that, that basically, like, Chavez is not speaking because he's want to be heard by the fucking fanboys and gain popularity off those comments. No. He's really speaking from the heart. That's got to hurt more, man.
Exactly.
Yeah, he's not a guy that gets involved in...
exactly. Well put.
Yeah, Chavez, if you guys... he speaks in Spanish for the most... Well, he only speaks Spanish. He's not a guy that likes to get into confrontations or gossip or he wants popularity.
No.
He just says what he thinks in terms of... boxing. He's not going to hide what... But
he was emotionally invested, too.
Okay, yeah,
like
true.
Gonzalo said, he gave him advice. He met and talked with him. He went to his fights. He had high hopes for him. And he wouldn't have cared if Garcia lost, got knocked out cold. He wouldn't have turned his back on him. If he felt Garcia left it all in the ring, he would have praised him even in a loss. But when someone like Julio Cesar Chavez sees you give up and his eyes give up, oh, you're done. You disgraced yourself, your heritage, and the sport that he bled for.
Yeah, but here's the thing, though. If, let's say, he quit, all right? He doesn't have heart at the end of the day, let's say, whatever. Some people were claiming, well, he doesn't have heart. Like, well, how did you know? Because that's the thing. There was a lot of questions. Like, you got to show me where he showed that he didn't have heart before the Tank Davis fight. You can't. So these people are acting like Nostradamus.
Exactly.
Like, these people that want to act like Nostradamus.
I told you. He never said that prior to the fight.
Yeah, there was so many open questions. So we were basing off on maybe he can do this. We weren't saying, oh, Ryan's going to win. You think he's going to lose? You're crazy. No, we never said that.
And it wasn't just that he didn't get up on 10 when he could have. It was he stopped fighting after he got knocked down.
After
you
round
could
2.
see it in his eyes. Yeah. Julio Cesar Chavez saw it. He gave up. He gave up after the knockdown. He stopped fighting. He did. He would do what his excuse was. He was bored in there. That was only because he felt guilty, because he knew in his heart what really happened. He was scared. He didn't want to get knocked out again.
I do have to mention this about Joe Goosen, Jimmy, and mainly it's about Ryan, but Joe Goosen, obviously, he's the trainer that got hired. Okay, Ryan Garcia left Terry Reynoso, and I don't know what the deal with Ryan being such a popular kid that they knew he was like great for boxing in the sense that he could draw a lot of fans. That you're gonna have like you're gonna hire somebody that's gonna be like a yes man, or basically somebody that's just gonna like cater to what everything you say and want. It's just gonna like rub you, like pat you in the back and say, "Oh, I'm only here sitting in the cut waiting for you. If I notice something that I need to correct, that's what I'm gonna do." Because that's basically the role that Joe Goosen assumed. Being a legendary trainer and all with all that experience and kind of like a personality himself, didn't do a whole lot and didn't get involved and immerse himself in the training like I thought he should have. Now this is kind of hindsight. I get it. Hindsight is 2020. But that's the thing. I'm not blaming so much on Goosen, but Ryan and his fucking dad, dude. Because they think, oh, he's a personality. we're just gonna treat him with fucking with fucking pliers. We're just gonna like, yes, Ryan. We're just gonna say everything you do because we don't want to upset you. We want to pat you on the back and make you feel good, but we don't want somebody really fucking telling you what to do.
Well, Jesus Christ was on his side.
Things came. Oh, sorry, Bruce. I'll go.
No, I just says Jesus Christ was on his side, so that was enough. Go ahead, Jimmy.
Well, things came out after the fight that were held out of camp. Like I said, when he first went there, it was yes, sir, no, sir. And, the first weekend, he was like respectful. I don't know if he ever changed that aspect, but that was the only time, I didn't hear anything else after that. But come find out, he started blowing off workouts, leaving early. I don't need to train. Like he would tell Goose, and Goose was like, all right, tomorrow, well, nah, man, I got something to do tomorrow.
Oh, man.
He was like, what? So that happened a lot. Goosen questioned his work ethic, questioned that nobody can tell this kid what to do. He's a know-it-all. The same reason why he bucked everybody around him, bro. His handlers. Even Goosen said you should probably get a couple more fights before maybe this one. What do you think? And nope. I think because he knows. I don't think he knows his heart isn't into it or something, because there's a reason he pushed for that particular fight. To me, it was a cash out. He wanted to make his money, get in a big fight, even though people around him that he should have respected were telling him that he should fight more. You should need a couple more fights before you fight Davis, including who went public with it. I think that's one of the reasons he didn't show up to the press conference. Like, you lost. Not only did you lose, but that's regardless. But you gave up in there. And we told you not to take this fight. I went public to the press. He actually used the term bad idea. This fight is a bad idea. That's what Oscar said about it. So obviously the people around him said, you're not ready for this fight, because they said it publicly. He wasn't ready. And he's still, nope, yes, I am. So, like Steve said before, it's like he's a know-it-all. He's a touchy know-it-all. Remember, the Canelo's trainers, he didn't like them. They made fun of him in Spanish. That he thought. He was like, he's making fun of me. Because, you crack on each other. You're in a gym. You do something. Somebody might crack a joke. Nope. He could not handle that. Don't make fun of me. And that was a real problem with him. And remember, Canelo was like, stop getting in your feelings.
That's right.
Canelo questioned his work ethic, too. Yep.
That's right, Jimmy. Everything you said is like, yes, that's true, man. Especially coming from a Mexican, you're wondering, hey, what the fuck is he saying? Don't be.
Well, did we lose connection here? Testing.
I think. Hello, I hear you. I just
okay. I thought it was me. All right. Fuck. I don't know what happened. Oh, guys, we gotta end the show though. We gotta move on to the second Renaissance. So it's happening right now. The link is in the description. Mr. BDA will be hosting. So make sure you join the second Renaissance on Rumble, not YouTube, because we are uncensored, raw and uncut on Rumble. So stay tuned for the second Renaissance. All right, guys. Jimmy, I guess Mr. BDA will send you a link or something.
Like an uncircumcised penis after a good pounding, raw and uncut.
Exactly, raw and uncut. Good comparison. All right, Jimmy, thanks for joining the show. All right, Gonzalo as well.
Thank you for having me. Gonzalo, have a great night, my brother.
Everybody in the chat, I want to thank everybody who donated via the super chat. I want to thank everybody who hit the like button. Everybody who just joined the show. Thank you very much. Make sure you join the second Renaissance, guys. You're going to love that show. Talk about conspiracy theories, paranormal, everything. Everything. Link in the description, link in the chat. Have a good night, people, all right? Take care.
New world order.
I'm disappointed in every one of you.
I'm sorry, I don't mean to offend you.
I'm disappointed in every one of you.
I kiss you on the mouth.
No, I'm not cool with that. I'm sorry.
One more time.
I'm disappointed in every one of you.
I mean, I'm dealing with degenerate animals.
I'm disappointed in everyone. Disappointed in everyone.
All right, come on.
Honestly, I can't do it, man.
I'm disappointed in everyone.
Let me tell you why.
It's gonna be all right, Nicky. Go ahead, shoot.
You just killed a fucking man.
What are you going to do about it?
Yeah, because you got nothing. You don't got a thing. Yeah, because you got nothing. Lobito! You got nothing.
I want to get out of this rat hole. I want to get online. I need
BDA Boxing.